Recorded. This is the Red Ticket Blues Podcast. I am Ryan Welcome. This is being recorded on September 19th, 2016 AD. Totally unnecessary. To hit the internets on September 20th. How's everybody doing? Oh, I'm doing good. It is another day. This is day 19 for me in California, and it has not come close to raining once. Not even the threat of rain, not even talk of a possible shower, nothing. Handful of clouds throughout almost 3 weeks. It does. I mean, I know California's in a drought, but this does not seem sustainable for human life. Doesn't seem sustainable for any fucking life, any plant life, animal life, life in general, other than like dirt, which I don't believe is a living thing. I don't believe. Not on trial here. I know it isn't. I believe. Anyways, I'm doing okay. Just got to see a little football yesterday. I was out doing some sightseeing in San Francisco. Like one of the locals. So got to see a little NFL, and enough of me rambling. Let's talk some SPORTS, because that's what you want to hear, right? Exactly. All right, so let's leave the NFL on the back burner, which I don't think anyone's ever said anytime ever. But let's address the Major League Baseball. And the Cubs have already clinched. They are in the playoffs. They are the division champions. I guess like one of the fifth quickest since the wild card era began a whole 21 years ago. Fifth out of 20. So is that really that big of a deal? I mean, it's good. It's good. Good. Congratulations to the Cubs. I mean, we all know that they're going to get their heart broke somehow. Not sure how, but it will happen. I think we can all listen. We can't agree on much, but I think we'll all agree that they're not winning the World Series just because. And I don't think they should, because you need pathetic souls in sports. We've gone over this. If they win, it'll be cool, but then they'll just be another team. Remember when we all looked at the Red Sox, a certain way? So, those losers. That's the way they are. The curse, all that horse shit. Now they're just another team that with an insane offense. Mookie Betts, he's got 9 home runs against the Orioles this year, and 8 of them are at Camden Yards. The dude should make play for the Orioles. He's pretty good, and he's making people forget. And listen, Xander Bogaerts is still a great player. It's not like we forgot about him, but Mookie Betts is kind of making it. At one point it was like, who's going to be the better player out of them both? Right now, Mookie Betts is making you forget that Xander Bogaerts was in that conversation. Oh yeah, look at the numbers. Shut up. So New York Yankees. Hit the music.
Yeah, bought a little liquor for your homies, nigga. This one here go out to my
In reality, that's what we're doing right now. We're just we're saying goodbye. We're pouring out a little liquor for my friend Tupac. I think we all knew in the back of our minds that this wasn't real. We thought, this is awesome. This is great. Even assholes who have podcasts named Brian thought it was great. We're going for a ride on the freeway in that pink Cadillac. We all knew it. But eventually we knew that these guys are kids. The pitching stinks. And the bullpen. That bullpen. I mean, there is part of you that could say, well, they didn't have to trade Miller and Chapman because, oh, yes, they do. What about this new youth group, huh? They came in. That's this youth explosion. They needed it. Well, if you look at it from that point of view, from the pitching standpoint, not really. I mean, those are for prospects that we don't have yet. I just said we. Prospects that the Yankees don't have yet. Get a fucking grip, Brian. Get it together. 4 minutes in, I'm yelling at myself. But I mean, they weren't, what's the word I'm looking for? Germane to the, that's not the word I was looking for, but germane to the run, as it was an offensive explosion. But forget about all that. We all knew that it would come to an end. And it all ended on Friday night when Joe Girardi said, I'm going to send Dellin Betances out there again after getting shellacked by the Dodgers and throwing a lot of pitches. We're going to throw him for a third day straight. And, Joe Girardi, I'm somewhere in the middle. You hear a lot of Yankee fans say, he's got to go. He's got to go. I'll tell you something. I love watching baseball. If you ask me, I guess the bad managers are pretty glaring, and the good managers are the ones that win. But can you really look at a manager and say, that is a great manager, or he is terrible? I mean, can you really, really say that unless they're so polar, on the polar ends of the spectrum? I mean, Mike Francesa says all the time, Joe Girardi will find another job in 2 seconds if he's fired by the Yankees. I mean, I guess he's coached for 2 teams. He coached for, he was the manager for he's managed 2 teams. Excuse me. I know there's some people say, coach, manage, come on, get it together. Managed the Marlins and, under 500, but still the NL manager of the year. That says something. And with the Yankees, 1 championship with an enormous payroll. It's sort of like, well, at the same time, he's not pulling the strings when it comes to personnel. But at that point, how do you measure the manager? Some guy in WFN called up and said, "Hey, Mike, do you think that they regret not hiring Mattingly? Leaving Girardi here as the manager?" It's like, my God, man, do you know how many years ago that was? What was that? 9 years ago? And then the next caller, I believe, was no, that was a different call. But WFN callers sometimes, when you get down to the towards the end of a regular season when the teams are in contention, the calls just get more insane. One guy upset that the Mets box score, Allen in Queens, upset the Mets box score was not in the Daily News, the print version, because the internet does not exist in Allen in Queens' Adobe. Anyways, but Girardi, I mean, listen, we all know he loves that binder, that book that has all the answers, that will tell him everything and what to do in every situation, taking the human element out of it, and sometimes you got to leave Tommy Lane in. Yes, I said it. Sometimes you got to leave Tommy Lane in the game. Or even Tanaka, he threw 93 pitches when 3 games before that, 3 of his last 4 games, he'd thrown over 100 pitches. It's a classic second guessing on a podcast. Of course it is. I'm not trying to make it anything it isn't. You put lipstick on a pig, it's still a pig. We get it. But I think sometimes he gets too cute. He relies on statistics and does not trust his baseball, brain. I mean, he would send up Larry Rothschild if it were, Larry, grab a bat. What? Well, it says here on this guy, above the Mason-Dixon line on a Thursday night, the summer equinox, it says you're the guy. So grab a bat, partner. I mean, so the Yankees go into Boston, though, and they get swept. And for the most part, I mean, those last 2 games, they played close. I didn't even watch most of them, honestly. If you're a pretty big fan, if you sat there on Sunday night watching that game, did you? Did you really sit there and watch most of that game, or did you watch mostly football? Or did you just, cry in a corner and say, "I can't believe I have to go to work tomorrow"? That's more of a winter thing. Just, I don't want to go. I love football, but I don't want to look forward to it every week just for these Sunday night blues. But the Mets. But let's end with the Yankees. End the eulogy, the 5th eulogy I've given on the podcast with them. But they're only 4 games out, and they're stop it. You look at it, they're only 4 games out. They're playing a lot of division rivals. Yeah, but there's other teams there that aren't division rivals, so yeah. But the Mets, how about them? The Mets this is the team that, well, they were just like the Yankees. I mean, no one really thought they'd get anywhere after they've had so many people injured. But I mean, Yoenis Cespedes continues to be a beast. Curtis Granis with a game-winning home run the other night. The Mets have primed themselves under that ragtag pitching staff. I mean, the present ragtag pitching staff. Jacob deGrom, RIP, is no longer with them. It's only Noah Syndergaard and Bartolo Colon from the beginning of the year. The Mets are the first wild card team. So wow, man, they've really turned it around. So good luck to the Mets. I think they're getting by on the skin of their teeth, and they're playing an easy schedule right now. But you know what? That's what you want to play at the end of the year. And yeah, aren't you? Longtime listeners of the podcast say, "Aren't you the same one that's criticizing them last year? Oh, because they had an easy schedule." No. The reason I was criticizing because people are trying to make them seem like they're the second coming, and they were playing a shitty schedule. They're playing a shitty schedule now, and hey, that works out for them. I do worry about them in the playoffs. I worry about them in a 1-game playoff. I mean, throw Syndergaard out there. That could be. He's been up and down this year too. So, Still a lot of baseball left to be played. Well, not really a lot left to be played. Still things to work out and see what we have. What I mean, I think in the National League West, well, that's a 5-game lead now. Is that really in question? The Dodgers and the Giants. Wild cards, obviously. We got the Giants and the Giants and the Mets in a wild card game. Syndergaard versus Bumgarner. Wow. Don't expect much action in that game. That's what it is today. And then you got the Cardinals 1 game out. Miami 5 games out. Tied with Pittsburgh 5 games out. And then obviously it goes lower from there. So baseball will be heating up. The playoffs. The regional sport that we all know and love will become national. And this is the part where we all pretend to know that about all the players on the other teams as if we watched every single one of their games. It's something that happens. It's something we all do. Oh yeah, that guy. Yeah. Well, they bring him in against lefties. Fuck you. You've watched 3 games of that team all year. Yeah, everyone knows he's that. Come on. So, all right, let's jump into the NFL. Like I said, I did not see every game. I was all over San Francisco. Well, actually, I was never even in San Francisco. That's not true. I was on the other side of the bay there, and Sausalito, I think, is the name of the town. Very little tourist town. Very nice. Very, man, that is living in those little towns. That's living. I'll tell you. Who the hell would have the audacity to yell in the middle of my podcast? I don't know who they are. Hopefully they have kids, so I start swearing. Trying to see who they are. Okay, anyways, yeah, I'm sure you're already bored of this part. But let's get into the NFL. I got home, and even the last game, the Sunday night game, was over by the time I got home. And, oh, Jesus Christ. So most of the, they're yelling out there. I'm not going to play this game, so I'm just going to ignore them. If you hear them, I apologize. So I even missed the Sunday night game, so I had to watch all the highlights of the games just find out exactly what happened. And went on YouTube, and they already had the games on there, the highlights from the NFL. But it's one of those deals where there is no commentating or anything, so just give you quick cuts of all the action, all the scoring plays, things like that. So it's a little awkward. It's like, oh, what a catch by Eric Decker. And then they jump into the next thing right before the hike goes. The quarterback snaps the ball there, and but the commentators are already in mid-conversation about whatever they were talking about. So it's like, touchdown Vikings. Well, yeah, and I'll tell you, and then it cuts to the next thing. Yeah, well, that's why they've been doing it for 20 years. Oh, I know you like that. It was just out of context all the time. I don't know. It's just something interesting. My friend and I used to play a game like that. This is my same friend that passed away, where we went to Great Adventure and would go to the high diving show several times just so we'd know all the funny gags and spoofs they were going to do so we could sabotage the show. I believe we were asked to leave at 11, 12 years old. But we used to play this game. Speaking of taking things out of context, if you were wondering where the hell I was going with this, 13 minutes in, and I've given so little analysis about anything in this podcast. I mean, this is Red Ticket Blues to its core. So back to a story from 25 years ago. We used to play this game where we would just listen to people talk, and then we would focus on a keyword. My friend would just say, the word is asshole. And then we hear people say, and they just say, well, yeah, they have, I got to get more of that. Yeah, do you want some more? Oh, this is good. This is real good. And we just giggle like children thinking they were talking about an asshole. And, it was loosely related to what I was talking about, but I just felt like telling it. So, all right, where do we start? Oh, God. Yeah, it's not the same with him here. He doesn't really, those stories don't work the same, but I'm sure you can imagine how amazing it was. Let's start with my picks, huh? So I gave you a 1-2 last week. Yeah, 1-2. That's about the 1-2 week one. That's the kind of expertise you expect from someone on the Red Ticket Blues podcast. So what did I give you this week? Well, let's go over it. Let's go New York Giants. Let's start there. They were favored by 4.5 points. 4.5 points to the New York Giants. Another game that the Giants, they really didn't impress you that much. Another game where they sort of just went through the motions, but they won. Eli Manning, 358 yards. The rookie Shepard, the wide receiver, starting to make a name for himself. 8 receptions, 117 yards. I'll tell you, Drew Brees does not have much on that team to throw to. But the Giants end up winning, like I said. Another game that you really can't be that happy with. But especially in the beginning. In the beginning, it was rough. I mean, there was a lot of fumbles, a lot of interception. Excuse me, not a lot of just turnovers in general. But Giants win 16-13, but they don't cover the spread, so that's a loss for me once again. So let's go with that. We are 1-3 on the season. Let's move on to the next game. 1-3 on the season. Oakland. I said you're gonna want Oakland. I think I also said this was the shoe-in of the week with a really big shoe. Oakland minus 4.5. And what do? Oh, they lost. They lost, just when you think the Raiders are supposed to do something, they're supposed to tell you, hey, we're the Oakland Raiders and we want to be recognized. We want to get your attention as a great, not a great, but a good team, a force to be reckoned with. And what do? At home, they go out and lose to the Atlanta Falcons. Okay? 35-28. The Atlanta Falcons. What else can you say? That's the Raiders. You think that they're going to do something, that they're going to step up and make a difference and prove something to you, and they don't. And you know what? They proved me to be an enormous asshole once again. That's 1-4 on the season. 1-4. So let's jump to the next game here. And the next game would be Denver minus 6. Holy Christ. I got one. We got one! Ghostbusters? No. 34-20. So once again, you get a 1-2 record. So that's 2-4 for the season. You deserve better, and you're going to get better. So C.J. Anderson starting to look like a star for the Broncos. He's making moves. He's spin moves everywhere. Doing the. Guy looks good out there. And Simeon it's Simeon, right? I want to say his name is Simeon. Is that they're 2-0 Broncos? It's pretty good, especially against that. The Colts stink. I think we know that they're just not a good team that's put together well. Not put together well at all. But Andrew Luck is going to be in a wheelchair. He will be. If he thinks he's a lacerated kidney, something to worry about. Wait till the end of the season. When he's talking out of a tube. Can you talk out of a tube? Breathing out of a tube. Shut up, Brian. All right, so C.J. Anderson, 20 attempts, 74 yards. Let's look at the whole box score here. I'm just looking at the top 3 players, so that's probably why you've gotten so little statistics here. What does Tim Tebow... this clickbait here, this is really bad clickbait by CBS Sports. What does Tim Tebow look like in a Mets uniform? And they have a video ready to go. At least it's not autoplay, but a video ready to go that has Tim Tebow in a Mets uniform. So I don't know where the drama and lies there. It's pretty bad clickbait. So you got C.J. Anderson, 74 yards rushing him, but he's had some decent ones receiving too. No, not really, just 3 yards. Or 19 yards, excuse me. So once again, the Broncos, though, establishing a 2-0 record going into the NFL. So let's look at the other games here quickly. We got some other stuff to talk about after this. All right, Eagles and Bears actually are going on right now, 9-7. I tried waiting to the end of that game to do the podcast, and I just said, you know what? Who really cares? Listen, Wentz looked great in the first game. We all liked it. Bears, I think we can all agree. Thank you. The Bears don't look like they're really going anywhere. 49ers, Panthers. I don't know how much attention was given to Colin Kaepernick, but I'm sure he kneeled. So, good job out of him. Cam Newton, 353 yards. 46-27, Panthers. 353 yards, 4 TDs, 1 interception. Blaine Gabbert, so-so, 243, 2 TDs, 2 interceptions. Greg Olsen, he has 120 yards, 70 of them on that one play. Basically caught a pass, and he took it to the house. And I don't know. I guess I didn't see whatever celebration this was. Mike Francesa was very angry about some sort of celebrations. Just the TD celebrations have gotten out of control. I'm someone that I appreciate a good celebration, but when the whole team gets involved in its choreographed horseshit, then it is too much. That's just me. I still didn't see, again, maybe in my little highlight package, I didn't get to see it. So Cowboys, Redskins. This was a game that was back and forth. Cowboys, hey, they're 1-1. The Redskins 0-2. Josh Norman very unhappy after the game. They had to take a drug test. Makes you think. And apparently you hear everyone say, "Oh, he's having a terrible year." I don't know. Pro Football Talk, they wrote an article saying he's having the best year of his career after 2 games. I guess people's retort to that would be, well, why doesn't he cover the best receiver all the time? And I don't know if this was a pro Josh Norman fan writing this article, but then I was saying, oh well, that doesn't always happen. Revis is not always on the top receiver, nor is Richard Sherman, and so Josh Norman is a guy who is look at me, but I don't know. I don't watch every Redskins game, and I guess he's doing okay. It is. I get the sense that he's not doing okay, and that's from Giants fans. So again, consider the source. So Patriots Dolphins 31-24. Patriots. Mr. Garoppolo looked good, but left the game. And I don't know who shit, I don't have the name in front of me. The guy who will be playing next week, most likely. Ryan Tannehill, 389 yards, 2 TDs, 2 interceptions. Ryan Tannehill led the team in rushing with 6 attempts for 35 yards, which makes you think, wait, how did the Dolphins even stay in this game? They actually, this was a 24-3 game, and the Dolphins got back in it to make it interesting. Get some A-Rod scoring at the end there where it meant nothing. But they did get to 31-24, and I don't know. There's something about Ryan Tannehill. After he made those comments last year, I forget who it was about. It was some safety on the team during practice where they kept intercepting him, and he was getting mad at the safeties, talking about, enjoy that rookie paycheck. It's certain quotes that sort of stay with you, and you look at someone and you go, I don't wish good things to that guy professionally. No, I don't. I think he's kind of an asshole. I don't like it. And the same, maybe I don't wish good things for him professionally, just the character there, it's not good. You don't like that. Like Ian Kennedy, former Yankee pitcher. Where's he pitch now? Royals, right? When he was sent back to the minors, he said he was relieved as not every game was, meant so much. I went back and I didn't have to feel like it was Game 7 of the World Series every time I pitched. Yeah, dude, you're not going to make it in New York. That's not the place for you because you don't make statements like that. You want relaxed pitching? Go pitch in San Diego. The weather's nice and no one gives a shit. I think that's the most important thing. All right, all the scores here, but let me quickly go through this. Lions, Titans, 2 teams who gives a shit. Lions continuing to do what they do. Matthew Stafford throws that interception right at the end of the game, just when you think they're coming back. But that dude runs with reckless abandonment sometimes, and he's going to get popped one of these days because he's not that big of a guy, and he runs, puts his shoulder down, and listen, it's all listen, that's great for the team, for fans. Like, oh yeah, that's my quarterback. Yeah, it's not great when you're off of the season. It's slide. Ask RG3. So 16-15, the Titans win it. I don't think either of those teams are going to matter when it's all said and done. Ravens and Browns, the Browns were up They were up 20-0 in this game. They scored 20 points in the first quarter. And I think someone contacted the Browns, Hugh Jackson, got into their headsets and everything, and then said, hey, you're the Cleveland Browns. And then it all went to shit. They lose 25-20. Josh McCown will not start this week. Something wrong with his shoulder. They have some other dude, Prescott. Is that the right name? Prescott? Some other dude. Nice, Brian. Prescott, I believe his name is. And they say Adam Schefter saying he's not ready. And I don't know if it was Monday Morning Quarterback or Adam Schefter, but I don't know who said it, but the Browns are the first franchise to have 5 quarterbacks start the last 5 games. That's including this next quarterback that will start next week, whatever his name is, Prescott something. But that's an amazing stat. That's an insane stat. That shows you how terrible they are. Isaiah Crowell, I guess I was going to say he had a great day, but did he? He had 85 yards on that one run, but another team that will not, and they're just not a team put together well. Another team not put together well. So the Ravens 2-0 quietly. You haven't really heard a peep out of the Ravens yet. Is Joe Flacco elite? We'll talk about that in a week or two if they keep winning. 302 yards, 2 TDs, 2 interceptions. Steelers Bengals. There's another one that went back and forth. I mean, you look at the scoring by quarter with the teams. Go Bengals Steelers 3-7, 3-3, 3-7, 7-7. So 24-16, Steelers win it. I don't have a lot to add to that. Steelers 2-0, Bengals 1-1. Chiefs Texans. Who really cares? We know the Texans are now 2-0, and that's great. We know nothing's really going to happen there. Brock Osweiler, he's 268 yards, 1 TD, 2 interceptions, 19-12 they win. But in the Chiefs, another team, two very unsexy teams. The only thing that really gives it any notoriety is J.J. Watt, and he is, nauseating. So Seahawks and Rams. Forget about the game for a second. Prescott, is that his name? Is that his name? Forget about the game for a second. Did you see the video? The video of you had a Seattle fan sort of nose to nose with a Rams fan, and a woman is basically it looks like she's trying to walk by the posturing, because it doesn't look like any of these guys want to throw a punch, which is always great, because, oh yeah, you're going to talk to me? Do something. Oh yeah? Why don't you try. And listen, we all know majority of the time nothing happens. That's the way it happens. So he pushes the woman out of the way, and this man with his kid, and I understand he wants to protect his kid. That's completely understandable, but he just loses it.
Hey, get out of here! Help! Hey, there's a little boy right there! You idiot!
The child will be scarred for the rest of his life hearing his he'll be scarred for the rest of his life trying to listen to me get a word out. No, he will wake up every day and remember that his father shrieked like a woman, like a psychopath at that game. Nothing was even happening to the kid. He wasn't even touched. He pushed other people out of the way. It was like George when he's trying to get out of that birthday party with the smoke. But anyways, always good to see Seattle lose a game that I'm glad I didn't watch. 9-3, nothing but field goals all around. And what is going on with the Seahawks as they cannot score? They can't score at all. But so both of those teams 1-1. Cardinals and Buccaneers 1-1 as well, as the Cardinals got back up on the win side 40-7. We're sitting here praising. I was praising Jameis Winston, which is a game he had 4 TDs. Well, in week 1, and now in week 2, not so much. 243 yards, 1 TD, 4 interceptions. Let's flip it around. So Cardinals got back on, and this was domination. 24 points, a lot of points on defense here. It's just an ugly game all around. Ugly game all around. What else we got? We saw the Jets-Bills game, and look at the Bills are having meetings with the players. The owners are having meetings with the players, asking what's going on, and Rex isn't there, and he thinks that's a good thing. I think all hell has broken loose on that team. That is going to be a traveling shit show the next few weeks. So that should be interesting to watch as time goes on, because that thing's already starting to unravel at 0-2. The Jets, well, they needed to win that game bad. As Jared and I talked about, if they did not win that game, man, going into that schedule, that is not something that's going to look good. Yeah, that's about it. Matt Forte dominating. 3 TDs, 100 yards. Eric Decker, 126 yards, 1 TD. His wife, who both of them need attention at all times. Talk about the biggest look at me people I've ever seen. We're both beautiful. We're both hot. We're both going to wear really tight stuff or nothing at all. Nothing at all. Big Dick Decker. That's what she said on Snapchat. And just, I mean, I don't know. Have some class. Oh, Brian, you should know. Whatever. Packers, Vikings. Sam Bradford makes his debut. He walked his own volition after the game, so it was positive all around. Aaron Rodgers, 213 yards, 1 TD, 1 interception. He was not. He got the ball knocked out of his hands a few times. Not a great display. We got bookend touchdowns for them. That was the only scoring they did, 17-14. Yeah, and Stephon Diggs. Let's talk about Stephon Diggs because 9 receptions, 182 yards. He is quickly becoming a force in the NFL, and there are people that take notice, including the boys at DraftKings.com. Yes, DraftKings, who, listen, if you haven't known, Sam T in Phoenix, Arizona, he won $5,000 on a 1 cent play the first time playing. That's how easy it is. You know what I've come to the conclusion with DraftKings? Like, I rarely withdraw money. I just deposit it and it just goes away. I mean, I don't even play that often, but maybe I just don't do enough preparation. It's quite possible, but I rarely deposit or withdraw money. It's just me depositing. I think that's the large majority of people. But the reason I actually brought it up about the boys at DraftKings, I guess how do you say it? Not a worker of DraftKings, but a DraftKings sponsored guy, who's definitely involved in daily fantasy sports. He won $1 million yesterday. $1 million. Which, brings it back to all the drama last year where we had one guy working at DraftKings and playing on FanDuel, and it wasn't just one guy, it was a bunch of people because they had knowledge. You have to protect the pools. In the words of Mike Francesa, that information cannot be given out to people. And I don't think DraftKings employees should even have access to it before game one, before the games start. It doesn't make any sense to me. But going back to what I was talking about withdrawing, last year the Wall Street Journal reported that 1.3% of the players in the first half of the MLB season won 91% of the money. So the odds are already stacked against the average player, even before any potential conflicts of interest. So Stephon Diggs makes me think why I continue to be involved in this garbage and play this stupid game. But anyways, Chargers, Jaguars, we know that 38-14. Jaguars 0-2. Blake Bortles looks good, but the rest of the team doesn't. He also led his team in rushing with 3 attempts for 34 yards. So when your quarterback is the leading rusher and it's under 50 yards, I mean we're not talking vintage Michael Vick here. It's not going to be a good day. So, do we hit up everything? I don't think we hit up everything yet. We're almost done, though. Yeah, we hit up everything, right? Yeah, fuck it. We're done. All right. So, I just want to get back to baseball for a second because our old friend, Mike Francesa, well, he's got a different idea of how we should be playing baseball.
I think you would get used to it so fast that you'd be, why didn't they think of this before? I think it makes so much sense. I would put it in the minor leagues and try it, see what it looks like for a couple of years, study it, and then I think you'd put it in Major League Baseball. John and Caldwell, what's up, John?
Hey, what's going on?
What's happening?
I just want to talk 2 strikes and 3 balls.
Mm-hmm.
I think we should have an invisible man on first, and we can also have...
You're a moron, but that's okay. But that's all right. I mean, listen, I don't expect everybody to be smart. This makes plenty of sense. If you never adapt to change, everything will always stay the same.
He's so profound, that Mike Francesa, the Confucius of sports talk radio. Now, that idea, the idea of just altering a game, altering a major part of the game. We're not talking instant replay. We're not talking bringing fences in or lights at night games. We're talking about altering a major part of this game by changing balls to 3 balls, no longer 4, and strikes to 2. If you're familiar with the Mike Francesa radio program on WFAN in New York, you will know that most of the time when callers call up about something as trivial as should someone have bunted the day before and they don't agree with Mike, they are dismissed, ridiculed, made fun of. Imagine if a caller called up with that completely batshit insane idea and it didn't have a Mike Francesa stamp of approval or his fingerprints on it somehow. It would be laughed at. It would be mocked. It would be, he would tell you to go to an insane asylum, get some sort of, get your head checked out, something like that. Use your noodle, right? How insane is it? This is another piece of evidence that Mike is starting to lose his mind. We're going to change that. Of all people, a guy who, as crazy as the media is these days, and all these hot takes and people trying to outdo themselves to just be, either throw roses at people or come up with some sort of bullshit take that no one has, just to be a contrarian. The idea that Mike Francesa, of all people, is sometimes the most honest voice in sports, which is truly terrifying. Simon Yonkers and I were talking about this. It's truly terrifying. And then he says something like this. God have mercy on all of us. Speaking of God have mercy, well, let's just say not have mercy. Let's play our old game here. And we all know Lenny Dykstra. Are there people worse than him?
Dykstra has been sentenced to 3 years in prison.
This is no dirt, man.
Pleasure to meet you. Awesome. Can't wait to be here.
So even before we get into all of this, you know what? Joe Paterno is worse than Lenny Dykstra. Period. So on Saturday, the Penn State University had a football game, which is quite common in the fall at universities. There are football games. And it was attended by, I think it was like 101,000 people there at Happy Valley to watch. And it wasn't just to see the Nittany Lions play. It was an anniversary. It was a celebration of Joe Paterno, the late Joe Paterno, the child molesting, the keeper, the guy who wants to sweep child molestation under the rug if it's associated, or not even sweep it under the rug, just ignore it. You get the deal. They were honoring his 50th anniversary of when he started coaching for the Nittany Lions. Historic coach, became one of the most powerful people in the state of Pennsylvania. Built that university up, built everything. I mean, when it comes to football, the man is an icon. He's in the top tier for sure. When it comes to human beings, he's definitely in that lower tier. And I've argued this before that he may be even worse than Jerry Sandusky. And some people say that's disgusting. How can you say that? If we're going to go with the idea that there's something wrong with Jerry Sandusky, as if he has some sort of sickness that he can't control, or if you want to play that angle, and I know some people do, well, Joe Paterno didn't have that sickness, and he still chose not to do anything. He knew something was going on, and it threatened his football livelihood, so he chose not to. So he ignored child sex crimes. And, he got a big party on Saturday. Penn State just still doesn't fucking get it. They just don't get it. The cult of Penn State is truly frightening. People who, God knows what else they believe in. But, it's not just the brain-dead, lemming fans that will just sit there and gravitate toward a man that protects perverts. It's not just, it is former NFL players like Franco Harris. Franco Harris is a grade A zombie with this shit. So we all know they removed the statue of the child abuser protector, Joe Paterno. So what did Franco Harris do? What a fucking hero. He sat in where the statue was to honor him and meeting people to keep his legend alive. I realize some of these players that he coached, they're in a tough spot right now because it's not like they sat there and saw him be like, oh, yeah, he's a child molester, that's cool. They just didn't know these things. So they're kind of caught between a rock and a hard place. But you have to fucking get into reality. You have to see how other people see it. And, take a stand that makes sense. But Franco wasn't done there just with the, with the I'm going to imitate where the statue was. He said, I'm going to educate fucking people. So, come up to me. I'm like the crazy guy on the corner. I'm like the Shakespeare lady in New Haven who just recites Shakespeare lines for nickels. So here, Harris is even more strident, eager to revisit the case and the evidence. He compares the Penn State situation to the Duke lacrosse saga, where a rush to judgment turned out to be premature. Actually, it's nothing like that. People wanted to rush to judgment with Duke before even any evidence was out. There is evidence here, and it's in several courts of law. Jerry Sandusky is in prison, and Joe Paterno is involved in all of those, and so it's not a rush to judgment. So let's hear what the man involved with the Immaculate Reception said. If you want to get deep into it, I'm here. I'll discuss that in depth at any time, he told Yahoo Sports. And if you're still in the mind frame that Joe Paterno is to blame, the football program's to blame, the players are to blame, you need re-education, and I'm happy to give that to you. Actually, I don't think that last part is anything what we're saying. Who said any football players are to blame? Did any of them? Joe Paterno's to blame. Jerry Sandusky's to blame. They're the fucking people to blame. Disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. 40 minutes, huh? I have other things to talk about, but I gotta let you go. You gotta go. I'm sorry. You got that meeting. It's at 2:30. Remember? It's in that conference room upstairs. Yeah, the big one. So we'll just end it there. Well, you know what? We'll end it with the Mets because while we talked about the Mets earlier, Tim Tebow. So Tebow reported to his instructional league, looking great in his tight uniform just because he's such a hunk and he's so strong and he has the power of Jesus. So I'm not sure if Jesus was in attendance, but if he was, he would have bought one of the many jerseys that are for sale, which the Mets told us this isn't about for profit. In fact, most teams, I guess, can't even do this before the guys on the 40-man roster, but Tim Tebow signed a binding contract with Majestic Sports where he can sell his name, and I'm sure the Mets are involved with it too. Sandy Alderson is talking out of his ass with this one. If you think that this is just all about something, about selling merchandise, you've got it all wrong. Yeah, because Tim Tebow's going to be playing for the fucking Mets. Will you get your fucking head out of your ass with that? I mean, what else could it be about? It's a quick buck. Yeah, because the Mets, nothing to do with money there. They never have any money-related issues. So, I praised them before as they're looking like that they could really they could jump into the playoffs. I don't know about a run. Their team really isn't that good with so many people that are injured. If Cespedes and Syndergaard can power them all the time, but please don't piss down our backs and tell us it's raining, Mr. Alderson. It's just lies, yeah. So, that's the podcast. I've already kept you here too long. That conference room, that meeting, let's go. Assholes, let's move. All right, so you can listen to this show and you can subscribe so you don't miss any episodes. Why would you want to, miss any of this? On iTunes, TuneIn Radio, Stitcher, YouTube, and Google Play. And you can follow me on Twitter at BrianBuck13 and at RedTicketBlues. If you like it, leave a review, all that. Reviews are always appreciated, and I consider them a personal favor. With all that being said, I'm out here.